All right. So this is a brief video lecture. This is just covering a couple of random things. It's covering thought and sensory verbs, and then what we call submerging the I. And these are essentially just ways to make your writing a little more active and to clean up your writing a little bit, to excise some of the unnecessary wordiness. And what I'm about to talk about, this is actually from a Pollock essay, an essay by Chuck Pollock that I have. I'm just giving you sort of the main points, but if you would like to read the rest of it, I have it and can give it to you. It's called Nuts and Bolts. So thought and sensory verbs. This goes back to this idea of show, don't tell that we've gotten into before. And essentially what the idea is, if you eliminate all traces, all in quotation marks, which means eliminate as much as you can. If you eliminate as many traces of thought verbs and sensory verbs, it makes your writing more active and it forces the reader to be a more active participant. So instead of saying, I knew she was sad, for example, show us why she was sad. Show us, the tear running down her cheek in the corners of her lips curled downwards. That forces the writing to be more visual, more active, and it forces the reader to be a more active part. And then same thing with sensory verbs like saw, heard, whatever. Instead of saying, I saw a bird fly outside the window, say a bird fluttered past the window. We know that it is the narrator who is seeing it. So essentially what this does is it makes observations more active, and it forces actions to be more powerful than, it doesn't force them to. Actions are always more powerful than observations, okay? This is unpacking the moment or unfolding the moment as we talk about, instead of just telling the reader that they should know or believe something. You unpack that moment so that they come to that conclusion themselves. Okay? This goes a little bit further in that you should bury character descriptions or details in actions or gestures. Don't just say that he walked into the room, he had short brown hair that was beginning to gray, and blue eyes, whatever, and facial hair. Reveal these through facial expressions or gestures. And you can allow actions and dialogue to reveal thoughts rather than saying, Tyler thought about this. Find some way to show me I thought about this. I have often, I write screenplays as well. Not so much anymore, but I used to. And one of the hardest things I ever had to do was, it was in a screenwriting class actually, and I wanted to show that the main character was sort of self-destructing. He was depressed, and he felt guilt over something that happened between him and his brother before his brother died. So rather than having the rather than having the main character mention this in some awkward way or have like some sort of voiceover describe it, I had to find some way to show it. And essentially what it was the main character was holding a picture of him and his brother, and he took a cigarette and burned out his face from the picture. And that was meant to, and I think among a few other things in that moment, but I think that helped show this rather than making the character speak his thoughts or something like that. So that's what we're sort of talking about here, is allowing actions and dialogue to reveal thoughts. All right. Now, the next part is called Submerging the I, and this is as important as well. This week we're going to start talking about point of view. And this has to do with the first person point of view, with the I point of view. So there's a problem in writing where we often see the repetition of the word I. I did this, I did that, I walked in there, whatever. This repetition becomes very problematic for the reader. So you need to try to hide the I, me, we, whatever. You have to try to hide those as much as possible, whether that's through combining sentences, using action, cutting just that subject part out as much as you can. You need to be very careful of this when you're writing from the first person. We're going to get into this a lot more and get into a lot more techniques for this, but this is something that you need to begin thinking about, okay?